Hi everyone. So today I'm going to be giving you a tour of Halfway Lake Provincial Park, located about 1 hour north of the city of Sudbury. And I'm starting this tour on the beautiful beach at Halfway Lake Provincial Park, which extends quite a distance. As far as you can see in front of me, we loop all the way around to this end over here. It's a massive beach for a provincial park, and it's located on this pristine lake. Not a large lake, but a big enough lake that there's some great fishing here. You can do water skiing and tubing, and it's a fairly warm lake for swimming as well. So there's two loops at this campground that we're going to have a look at. One of them is called Wild Rose, the other one is called Hawk's Nest. Wild Rose has electrical sites and Hawk's Nest does not. So if you're looking for an electrical site, you're going to have to make sure that you book early for those because that one fills up very quickly. None of the sites have water. They also don't have sewer, but of course there's a dumping station and a filling station as you come into the provincial park. There is decent cell phone signal here. I've been getting 2 bars while I'm here, so not too bad, but there might be some spots in the campground where the reception isn't quite as good. So before we go and look at the campsites, I'm on my bike and we're gonna bike along this trail that follows the beach. And this follows the beach all the way from start to finish and extends all the way across the 2 loops of the campground. Well, here we've been camping in the Hawk's Nest loop, so we've been boondocking while we're here, but we did manage to find a spot that's quite close to the beach. We look to the side here, all the campsites are right behind this wooded area. So you don't have campsites that are directly on the beach, but they can be pretty close by. The campground also has a second lake called Raven Lake, and some of the campsites in Wild Rose as well as some of the campsites in Hawk's Nest actually border that lake. So if you're looking for something with lake views, those are good options. So we're just making our way past the park here. So nice little kids park to play at. And that's located right on the lakefront as well. They do have canoes and kayaks that you can rent here as well. And you've got a nice little common fire pit here. And sometimes on weekends they'll have some communal fires and campfire songs. In each of the 2 campground loops, there's a washroom facility that looks something like what you see behind me here. And they all have showers. They're all fairly clean. Some of them are a little bit older though, but they're fairly well maintained, so you won't have any issues there. And then in addition to these larger washroom facilities, there's also the old-fashioned outhouse type washrooms that are a little bit closer to some of the campsites where you're a little further away from one of the main facilities. Here is a look at the dumping station, the water filling station, and also the trash drop-off. One thing to be aware of at this campground, and you can probably hear that road noise behind me, it is situated right along a main highway. It's only a 2-lane highway, so it's not generally too busy at night. But during the day, if you're at the front of the park, you're going to hear a little bit of traffic noise. If you're in the Hawk's Nest loop, you should be fine. You're not really going to hear anything. This is a storage facility. They do have some seasonal lots at this provincial park, and they do offer an option to store your trailer here for a fee if you want to keep it here for the winter, for example. And now we'll continue on to the boat launch. So here we are at the boat launch. We've got a fish cleaning station over here. You can see another view of the beach from this angle. So quite a nice long beach. And just another view of the lake here. And you can see right in front of me over there, that's the highway I was talking about. Just like any provincial park in Ontario, you reserve this campground through the Ontario Parks website. And you do need to reserve fairly early if you're reserving on a weekend. These do fill up. Here's a look at the entry gate to the park. We've got a side path here for registration. And then we work our way into the park. So let's have a look at the Wild Rose Loop. This is the first loop as you come into the park. Both of the campground loops, both Wild Rose and Hawk's Nest, have a paved portion to the loop, which is the front loop. And for each one, the rear loops of both of these campgrounds are gravel. So we're in the paved portion right now of Wild Rose. And let's stop and have a look at one of the electrical sites. This is site number 4. So this is fairly typical for the sites here. Quite a bit of privacy between the different lots. All the campsites have 2 picnic tables, as well as a fire pit. Now, as with almost every provincial park, you're going to want to make sure that you bring a very long power cord, because generally the power outlets, and you can see one back there, are a fair distance away from where your trailer might be parked. So keep that in mind. Make sure when you're booking that you do respect the size restriction of the various lots. So of course, if they recommend that a lot is only good for an 18-foot trailer or below, there's probably a reason for that. Might not be because the lot is too small, but sometimes it's your turning radius to actually reverse into the lot that's the problem. And this campground is full of trees, which is really nice, but it can make navigating a really big trailer in the campground a little bit more difficult. Next, let's have a look at the camp store. Got all of your basic amenities. You've got ice cream and ice and chips, and of course souvenirs. Fairly nice store, and also open until 10 o'clock every night, which is kind of nice. You can also buy firewood here. This campground has a number of hiking trails as options as well. In the Hawk's Nest Loop, you have access to 3 hiking trails that range all the way from 2 kilometers to 15 kilometers. And then just outside of the main park, there are some other options for hiking trails as well. So if you're a hiker, this is a great place to be. You're pretty far from civilization at this campground. So your closest city is going to be Sudbury, which is about an hour drive away. There's a very small town called Cartier that's about 15 minutes away from the campground, but you're only going to be able to get very, very basic things there. There's just a little corner store. So we are now in the Hawk's Nest part of the campground. There's Raven Lake over here. And you can see from this, even the campsites are fairly good distance away from each other. Show you another campsite here. This one is in Hawk's Nest, and this is 209. And as we go in here, you can see again, it's a pretty big campsite. The only difference from the other one I showed you is there's no power here. But otherwise, you've got the 2 picnic tables and the fire pit. And you're fairly private and well surrounded by trees. I'm a bit biased because I grew up coming to this campground, but I think it's a great place with its amazing beach and private lots. If you're in the area, consider checking this one out. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. It really does help us out. And don't forget to come back tomorrow to see where we go next.